Suge gave me a studio, and gave me a studio, gave me an engineer in Hollywood.
Big U has never shied away from expressing his close ties with Suge Knight. But in a shocking twist, new evidence has uncovered a jaw-dropping connection. Big U has now been linked to the September 7th, 1996 attack on Suge and Tupac, an incident that ultimately led to Tupac Shakur's tragic death.
I remember when the officer came and told me, he said, your homeboys killed Tupac.
What was Big U's role, and how did he manage to keep it hidden for so long? Sit tight. I'm about to break it all down. Let's rewind to that fateful night in Las Vegas. Tupac Shakur was in town to watch the Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon heavyweight bout at the MGM Grand. After the fight, Tupac, along with Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight and their entourage, was caught on hotel surveillance footage assaulting Orlando Baby Lane Anderson in the lobby. This altercation wasn't random. It was believed to be retaliation. A while earlier, Anderson, a known Southside Compton Crip, had allegedly tried to snatch a death row chain from a death row associate named Trayvon Trey Lane at a Foot Locker in Lakewood, California. Later that night, around 11:15 p.m., Tupac was riding shotgun in a black BMW 750 sedan, driven by Suge Knight. They were heading to Club 662, a death row affiliated venue. While stopped at a red light on East Flamingo Road and Koval Lane, not far from the Vegas Strip, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside them. That's when shots rang out. A shooter in the back seat of the Cadillac fired approximately 12 to 14 rounds from a .40 caliber Glock. Tupac was hit 4 times.
I think Suge Knight wanted it to look that way.
In his memoir and later interviews, Keefe D. Dwayne Davis described the shooting of Tupac Shakur as retaliation for the infamous MGM Grand beatdown. He stated that the assault on Orlando Anderson gave us the ultimate green light to do something to Tupac and Knight. Davis has consistently maintained that the shooting was gang-related, triggered by the public disrespect shown to his nephew. On September 29, 2023, Davis was arrested and charged with murder using a deadly weapon, with a gang enhancement added. Prosecutors described him as the shot caller who orchestrated the attack, even though he didn't personally fire a weapon. So why do rumors still link Big U to Tupac's murder? Much of the speculation around Big U's alleged involvement stems from his status as a powerful figure in Los Angeles gang circles during the 1990s. As a reputed shot caller for the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, Big U held considerable influence. Some theories suggest his position might have given him knowledge of, or even sway over, the Southside Compton Crips, the gang directly implicated in Tupac's murder. However, it's important to understand that the Rollin' 60s and the Southside Compton Crips are separate entities, each with their own leadership and territory. Assuming Big U had direct control over the Southside Compton Crips oversimplifies the decentralized and often autonomous nature of gang organizations in Los Angeles. As one expert on gang dynamics noted, major actions like the murder of a celebrity would require extensive coordination, something not supported by the available evidence. Another layer of speculation connects Big U to Sean Diddy Combs and Bad Boy Records. In his confession, Keefe D alleged that Diddy offered $1 million to kill Tupac and Suge Knight amid rising tensions between Bad Boy and Death Row Records. If true, this would suggest an East Coast link to Tupac's death. Some conspiracy theories attempt to place Big U as a potential middleman in such a plot, citing his affiliations and rumored ties to the music industry. However, when examining credible evidence, a few key points become clear. First, the most substantiated narrative, supported by Davis's confession, surveillance footage, and eyewitness accounts, points to a straightforward gang retaliation by the Southside Compton Crips. The motive? Revenge for the beating of Orlando Anderson. Second, while Big U's status in the Crips and his industry connections may place him near the orbit of those involved, there's no concrete evidence tying him to the planning or execution of the murder. In contrast to the speculation around Big U, Suge Knight has faced more consistent scrutiny over the years. Despite being in the car with Tupac and even taking a bullet himself, Knight has been the subject of repeated allegations suggesting he may have played a deeper role in the events of that night.
Exactly. Jimmy Chris, man, Jimmy Chris, my Peru partner out of Compton. he came to me and he had an idea to do a show on management and a documentary on management. And I was at the time I really wasn't doing it. I was just doing football.
In his memoir and later interviews, Keith D. Dwayne Davis described the shooting of Tupac Shakur as retaliation for the infamous MGM Grand beatdown. He stated that the assault on Orlando Anderson gave us the ultimate green light to do something to Tupac and Knight. Davis has consistently maintained that the shooting was gang-related, triggered by the public disrespect shown to his nephew. On September 29, 2023, Davis was arrested and charged with murder using a deadly weapon, with a gang enhancement added. Prosecutors described him as the shot caller who orchestrated the attack, even though he didn't personally fire a weapon. So why do rumors still link Big U to Tupac's murder? Much of the speculation around Big U's alleged involvement stems from his status as a powerful figure in Los Angeles gang circles during the 1990s. As a reputed shot caller for the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, Big U held considerable influence. Some theories suggest his position might have given him knowledge of, or even sway over, the Southside Compton Crips, the gang directly implicated in Tupac's murder. However, it's important to understand that the Rollin' 60s and the Southside Compton Crips are separate entities, each with their own leadership and territory. Assuming Big U had direct control over the Southside Compton Crips oversimplifies the decentralized and often autonomous nature of gang organizations in Los Angeles. As one expert on gang dynamics noted, major actions like the murder of a celebrity would require extensive coordination, something not supported by the available evidence. Another layer of speculation connects Big U to Sean Diddy Combs and Bad Boy Records. In his confession, Keith D. alleged that Diddy offered $1 million to kill Tupac and Suge Knight amid rising tensions between Bad Boy and Death Row Records. If true, this would suggest an East Coast link to Tupac's death. Some conspiracy theories attempt to place Big U as a potential middleman in such a plot, citing his affiliations and rumored ties to the music industry. However, when examining credible evidence, a few key points become clear. First, the most substantiated narrative, supported by Davis's confession, surveillance footage, and eyewitness accounts, points to a straightforward gang retaliation by the Southside Compton Crips. The motive? Revenge for the beating of Orlando Anderson. Second, while Big U's status in the Crips and his industry connections may place him near the orbit of those involved, there's no concrete evidence tying him to the planning or execution of the murder. In contrast to the speculation around Big U, Suge Knight has faced more consistent scrutiny over the years. Despite being in the car with Tupac and even taking a bullet himself, Knight has been the subject of repeated allegations suggesting he may have played a deeper role in the events of that night.
Coming big.
We went over it a couple of times, then we decided to do it, but I wanted to do something that would be telling from our side, the point of view. And it ended up morphing into what you see now, talking about the lives of people who are behind hip-hop and the people who make hip-hop go.
He shared his journey from managing just one artist to investing in the idea of launching a show, a move that eventually turned into a major success.
That's what motivates me right now today, to do the things that I'm doing with these kids to help improve the lifestyle.
This look into Big U's approach to the music industry reveals his deep understanding of the power moves happening behind the scenes, moves that shaped careers and influenced the direction of hip-hop throughout the 90s. It also highlights his connections to Peru gang members, showing that, despite rival affiliations, money often transcended gang boundaries when business was on the table. The East Coast versus West Coast beef provides crucial context for understanding the volatile tensions that ultimately exploded into violence. This highly publicized rivalry, mainly between East Coast's Bad Boy Records, led by Sean Diddy Combs, and West Coast's Death Row Records, created a powder keg where personal slights often led to deadly consequences. The murders of Tupac Shakur and later the Notorious B.I.G. in March 1997 were widely believed to have stemmed from this feud, although gang-related motives have also been cited. Suge Knight's iron grip on Death Row Records was no secret. After posting Tupac's $1.4 million bail in 1995 in exchange for signing to the label, Knight positioned Death Row as the dominant force in West Coast hip-hop. Under his leadership, the label was more than a business. It became a cultural movement rooted in street credibility and gang affiliations. Knight himself was a known affiliate of the mob Piru Bloods, while Big U was aligned with the Rollin 60s Crips. Despite these rival affiliations, the interconnected world of Compton's gang and music scenes meant that opposing sets often moved in overlapping circles. Death Row Records employed members from both the Bloods and Crips, forming complex alliances and rivalries that later played a role in the violence surrounding Tupac's death. There were even whispers of connections between Knight and Big U through mutual associates. Henley, allegedly a manager of Death Row artist Corrupt, was said to have introduced Big U to Suge Knight, with claims that Henley received financial support from Knight after prison. Some even allege Henley once bailed Knight out of jail. However, these accounts remain unverified and should be taken with caution. Still, the deep-rooted rivalry between the Bloods and Crips would have made any close relationship between Knight and Big U difficult. The story of Tupac signing to Death Row illustrates the complicated intersection of loyalty, business, and street politics that defined this era. Once Knight posted bail, Tupac became the face of the label, releasing the legendary double album All Eyes on Me in 1996. While this partnership was lucrative, it also placed Tupac in the center of a dangerous storm, both in the music world and in the streets. As Tupac's fame surged, tensions with Bad Boy Records, and with Biggie, and Diddy specifically, reached a boiling point. His vicious diss track, Hit 'Em Up, took the rivalry to a personal level, turning what could have remained a professional dispute into something with deadly stakes. Big U's specific role during this period remains somewhat unclear, though his Crip affiliation might suggest opposition to the blood-heavy Death Row. The reality was far more layered. In 90s Los Angeles, business and street politics often overlapped in unpredictable ways, and figures like Big U navigated multiple spheres of influence. By September 1996, all the pieces were in place for tragedy. The escalating East Coast-West Coast feud, combined with deepening gang tensions and personal vendettas, created a volatile situation. That tension came to a head when Tupac and his entourage crossed paths with Orlando "Baby Lane" Anderson, a member of the Southside Compton Crips, at the MGM Grand following the Mike Tyson fight on September 7, 1996. What happened next was caught on hotel surveillance and witnessed by many. Tupac and his crew jumped Anderson, allegedly in retaliation for a prior incident where Anderson tried to snatch a Death Row chain from Mob Peru member Trevon Trey Lane. This assault on a Crip by Tupac and a Blood-affiliated entourage violated the street codes of the time and demanded retaliation. Just hours later, as Tupac and Suge Knight cruised the Vegas Strip in a black BMW, a white Cadillac pulled up beside them at a red light. Gunshots rang out from the Cadillac, striking Tupac 4 times and grazing Knight. 6 days later, on September 13, 1996, Tupac succumbed to his injuries, leaving behind a legacy of artistic brilliance and a host of unanswered questions. In the wake of his murder, countless theories surfaced about who was responsible and why. Among them were allegations of Big U's involvement, though no concrete evidence ever directly tied him to the events of that night. Still, understanding why such rumors continue to circulate requires a deeper look into various claims and investigations that have emerged over the years. After Tupac's death, the lives of both Suge Knight and Big U took dramatically different turns, shaped by legal troubles and evolving relationships with the streets and the industry. For Knight, Tupac's murder marked the beginning of the end. Death Row started to unravel, artists left, lawsuits piled up, and Knight's aggressive tactics became more of a liability than an asset. In March 1997, less than 6 months after Tupac's death, Biggie was murdered in Los Angeles. Some theories claimed Knight ordered the hit in retaliation, allegedly using Mob Piru member Wardell Poochie Faust to carry it out. Though Knight was never charged, the accusations further tainted his already controversial legacy. Knight's legal problems only escalated. In 1997, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison for violating probation related to a 1995 assault. After his 2001 release, additional arrests followed. His most serious case came in 2015, when he was charged with murder for a hit-and-run that killed Terry Carter and injured Clee Bone Sloan. In 2018, Knight pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter and received a 28-year sentence. He's currently serving time and won't be eligible for parole until 2034. Even from prison, Knight has continued to deny involvement in the murders of Tupac and Biggie. In a 2023 interview following the arrest of Keith D., Knight expressed support for justice, but refused to testify, cryptically stating that the police don't have the right guy. His comments only added to the mystery surrounding the case. Meanwhile, Big U took a very different path. After serving 13 years in prison for attempting to rob an undercover officer of 33 pounds of cocaine, he re-emerged in the early 2000s as a music executive and community leader. He managed artists like Corrupt and Nipsey Hussle, and founded Developing Options, a non-profit dedicated to reducing gang violence in South LA. In interviews, Big U has spoken about leaving the street life behind and working to uplift the community. On Big Boy's Neighborhood, he described his evolution and his mission to help young people avoid the same mistakes he made. While rumors still swirl around his name, Big U remains a complex figure, one who straddled the line between gang culture and legitimate enterprise during one of hip-hop's most turbulent eras.
I never mixed that with nothing. I didn't manipulate nobody, I didn't steal nothing. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. But I guess it is what it is. This the price of being.
Big U has long been known for his story of redemption and transformation, a narrative that stood in stark contrast to his past as a notorious gang leader. Over the years, he earned respect for his community outreach efforts in South Los Angeles, gaining recognition from local leaders and becoming a symbol of positive change. However, in March 2025, that carefully cultivated image came under serious scrutiny. Big U was arrested in connection with Operation Drawdown, a sweeping federal investigation targeting the Rollins 60s neighborhood Crips. He now faces a staggering 43-count indictment, including charges of racketeering, murder, extortion, fraud, and human trafficking. Prosecutors allege that behind his public persona as a reformed leader, Big U was secretly running a mafia-style criminal enterprise. Among the most shocking claims, that he orchestrated the 2021 killing of aspiring rapper Ran Williams, used his influence to extort athletes and celebrities, and even defrauded his own non-profit organization, Developing Options. The indictment has cast serious doubt on the authenticity of Big U's transformation, prompting questions about whether he had ever truly left his criminal past behind. Before surrendering to authorities, Big U released several videos denying the allegations. He claimed he was a victim of racial profiling and suggested the charges were part of a campaign to destroy his character. On April 8, 2025, Big U pleaded not guilty to all charges listed in a 43-count indictment at a courthouse in downtown Los Angeles. His attorney, Arturo Hernandez Melendez, painted him as a reformed community figure who had left his past behind, a stark contrast to the prosecution's portrayal of him as a dangerous criminal mastermind. Big U was denied bail, with prosecutors arguing that his release could pose a serious threat to potential witnesses. Reports suggest that anonymous victims were afraid to testify if Henley were freed. The case is still ongoing, and if convicted on all counts, Big U could face life in prison. This recent legal turmoil has reignited public interest in Big U's past, particularly persistent rumors connecting him to the unsolved murder of Tupac Shakur. While Big U's personal legal battles unfold, they also serve as a reminder of the deeper, long-lasting impact Tupac's murder had on hip-hop culture and the decades-long investigation that followed. For years, the mystery surrounding Tupac's death allowed conspiracy theories to flourish. One of the most persistent claims involves music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs, accused of orchestrating the murder through hired gang affiliates. This theory gained traction largely through the accounts of Keith D., who made several claims in police interviews and his memoir. According to Keith D., Combs allegedly offered $1 million to have Tupac or Suge Knight killed during a time of intense rivalry between Bad Boy Records and Death Row Records. In his memoir, Keith D. recalled a meeting at Greenblatt's Deli in Hollywood, where Combs reportedly asked if the Southside Crips were behind Tupac's murder. Keith D. said he answered, yes. He also claimed that a drug dealer named Eric Zip Martin, associated with Combs, was supposed to deliver the payment, but disappeared after the murder. Despite these explosive allegations, Combs has never been charged and has consistently denied any involvement. Law enforcement officials have also repeatedly stated that Combs is not considered a suspect. With no corroborating evidence beyond Keefe D's claims, many question the credibility of his story, especially considering the possible motives he may have for implicating a high-profile figure. Then in 2023, the long-stalled investigation saw a major breakthrough. Keefe D was officially charged with Tupac's murder. The case hinges primarily on Keefe D's own admissions, statements he made publicly, in interviews, and in his 2019 memoir. Prosecutors argue that Keefe D played a key role in orchestrating the murder, which under Nevada law makes him legally responsible even if he didn't pull the trigger. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson emphasized this point when announcing the indictment. Keefe D's trial, initially scheduled for June 2024, has faced multiple delays. It's now set for February 9th, 2026. These delays have been linked to new evidence presented by the defense, including witness testimonies suggesting that Keefe D was not in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting. In a March 2025 jailhouse interview with ABC News, Keefe D declared his innocence, saying, "I'm innocent. I ain't killed nobody. Never did ever kill nobody." He claimed he was in Los Angeles on the night of September 7, 1996, and insisted, "There are witnesses who can confirm his alibi." This new claim contradicts years of public confessions and adds another twist to an already complicated case. Prosecutors, however, have countered with hotel records showing rooms booked in Keefe D's wife's name at the Monte Carlo Resort and another under Orlando Anderson's name at the Excalibur Hotel, placing Keefe D in Las Vegas during the time of the murder. The current legal proceedings against Keefe D mark the most significant development in the Tupac murder investigation in nearly 30 years. While it may bring the possibility of closure, the complexities of the case, the time that's passed, and the loss of key witnesses means some questions may never be fully answered. After decades of theories and speculation, the most substantiated explanation continues to point to the Southside Compton Crips, specifically Keefe D and Orlando Anderson. Investigators like Greg Kading, who has extensively studied the case, maintain that Tupac's murder was a retaliation for the MGM Grand Beatdown, a clear-cut case of gang violence, rather than an elaborate music industry conspiracy. As Big U navigates his legal battles and the Tupac investigation unfolds, new evidence could still emerge, reshaping our understanding of the events and relationships that defined a crucial era in hip-hop history. If you enjoyed this video, click the one on your screen now to dive deeper into more cases shaping the culture.